Hi everybody, how are you doing? How are things? I know I always ask that, and I know I can't actually hear your reply, but I do care, and I do read all your comments, thank you. But I just think, you know, times are quite difficult at the minute, and sometimes we need to just feel we're chatting with somebody. And although I can't hear your reply, as I say, I do read them. And there was a lovely comment recently where a lady put, and I'm sorry, I didn't make note of your name, that these little videos were like having a coffee with a friend. And you know what? That really touched my heart, because the one thing when I started doing workshops and teaching, I mean, I've no background in teaching at all. And in fact, I only came into crafting late in life. And it really was just that I struggled when I started crafting with lots of different things, and I found nobody really wanted to actually help me. There were people who wanted to show me how good they were, but they weren't interested in genuinely helping me so that I felt better. I remember at one particular workshop actually being shouted at and made to feel a fool because I couldn't use a brayer. Hence, when we use a brayer, we call him, well, I call him Billy, purely because I spent years not using him. And so anyway, so that comment that my videos were like a coffee with a friend really touched my heart. So thank you very much, whoever left that. Now, today, what we're going to look at is reflections. And again, this is one of those topics or stamping techniques that a lot of crafters seem to struggle with. I did an online workshop with my ladies on Saturday, and it was lovely because they really got it. So I thought it'd be an ideal opportunity to do a little video on it. And I'll try not to rabbit on, I'm sorry, you know what I'm like. There's a reason my mum called me Chatterbox when I was little. So what I thought we'd do is a little bit like when I did the online workshop. And what we actually did was, this is the card that we're going to make. But what I want to do first is just talk to you a little bit about reflections. And some of the things I'm saying will be obvious. But again, the one thing I found when I started off was that sometimes the penny didn't drop until it was explained in almost visual terms to me. So I'm going to put that to one side, and I'm just going to bring in some copy of paper. So what I want to talk to you about first is when we're actually making a reflection. And so for this, I'm just going to draw myself a horizon line. And this is just on copy of paper. And again, what I'm saying will probably be really obvious to you. But again, that's good that it's obvious to you. And what I want to show you first, now we're going to be using Lavinia stamps today. I'll try and tell you the names. I write the names on my acetate with them, but I don't always have the acetate with me. I must actually look at all my stamps because I put them all just in one big box. I really must sort them out. But what I want to show you is that if we have a stamp, now again, this is going to be obvious to you, that is symmetrical. So I've gone for a tree here to try and show you the symmetry. And as I say, I'm just roughly doing this on copy of paper, because for me, I find if I see things, it's easier. And you know me, I need to turn it to the side. Oh, look, my tree's too big. Well, I'll tell you what, we can easily get round that. We'll grab another piece of paper and we'll just, as you would, mask off the bottom. So there's my tree. Stamped my tree. Now, because it's symmetrical, I can turn it round and I can use my copy of paper as a guide to see how high I want it. And if I position that over there, because I'm covering it up, it'll help me get it in the right place, won't it? So if I do first and second generation, that way I've got my reflection and it's symmetrical. So we'll pop that to one side. If I have a stamp that isn't symmetrical, so we'll, the one I'm going to be using today a lot is the mushrooms, which are just a big favourite of mine. So I'll very quickly, and I'm not going to spend time inking it up too much because I don't want to waste ink. How sad's that? So, and as I say, this will be obvious to you. But as I keep saying, sometimes we need to point the obvious out. Well, for me, it's always better that way, once it's in my head. So if I stamp the mushrooms first and then turn them round for second. It's obvious because it's not symmetrical. This looks like a reflection, this one doesn't, because obviously they're the wrong way round. So we need ways of actually getting them as in our finished piece here, where the mushrooms are the right way round. So we'll turn that over. For me, there are 3 simple ways of doing this. So what we'll do is we'll go through the 3, and my suggestion is, if you want to have a go at this, have a go at all 3 on just on some copy of paper or some scrap paper. Decide which one you like best, and then have a go at the finished article with the one you like best. Now the one for me is the acetate one, and it seems to work best for me, but it's not necessarily be that way for you. So we'll use the mushroom, and again my suggestion is always do your reflection first. So what we'll do, she says, I've just put the acetate somewhere. Okay, oh there we go. On a lot of my acetate I put a mark because obviously it's see-through. And what we're going to do is I'm going to use just my VersaFine Clair, just the black. You could use grey for your reflection, but I find because not all the ink comes through, black is fine. And again, you know me, I just like to clean the sides because I do catch them. Now I'm going to stamp. Acetate is slippy, so I tend not to put it on my craft mat because that's 2 slippy surfaces and I find it'll slip even more. So I'm going to go straight down, keep hold of it, a firm press, trying not to slide, and then straight up. Don't worry if it slides a little because obviously we're going to do a reflection. The other thing to bear in mind is if your stamp is too tall, so if we go back to the fir tree, obviously that's not going to fit. Do check your stamp, you can get it on twice. So as I say, we're going to go with the reflection, and I'm going to pop it here. Obviously put it ink side down, just give it a gentle rub. Now this reminds me of, I don't know, did you ever have those rub-ons where you have a lollipop stick? Oh, there was some sort of little tattoos when I was little, I think, that you used to be able to rub on your skin and you thought you were great because it looked like you had a tattoo. Anyway, it's that sort of thing. So I tend to hold it down with one hand and rub it with the other. If you want to see if there's anything there, you can give a little lift. And when you lift up, you've got your reflection. And I like this one because it's quite almost watery. Now, the ink will just clean off your acetate. I'm just going to give that a wipe because I'm going to be using the acetate again. And then what you would do is it's easier then to line up. We take our ink, again, ink the stamp up. Get those edges. And then just line up and do your main image. It's easy to line up your main image, so always do your reflection first. Again, we're not going to rush this. Lift it up, and there we go. You've got a nice true reflection. Now, a little trick that's worth trying at this point, to get your horizon line, you can just use a pencil and obviously pencil it in. But a nice thing to do is to use your brayer, get Brayer into play. Now, we're going to use a dye-based ink here. So I've gone for an Adirondack. I could use my Distress, my Oxide, my Artistry ink, but I've gone for Adirondack. The reason I've gone for a dye-based is a permanent one would stain my brayer. So obviously this is going to dry easier and clean up easier. And what I want is I want the ink just on the edge of my roller. So if I show you here, I'm just going, hope you can see that, inking up the edge. This is a lovely trick, but it does take practice. And believe you me, it's not great doing it live either, so we shall see. And the important thing here is, for me, I'm right-handed, so I need my reflection on the right. So what I'm going to do is bring the brayer along, just line it up and make my horizon there. And then I'm slowly going to go back and almost make the ripples. And I want them to get smaller. So as you can see, it gets fainter, but also, as I say, make sure you do that on the reflection side. And that's just a nice way of making a horizon and a reflection. Now this, obviously, is just my practice card, but I did want to show you that I very quickly, from my practice, added some ink, a couple of moons, which we'll go into, and flicked some white Posca on it. And well, I didn't want to waste my my warm-up card, so that's where you could go with this. So that's our first one, that's using the acetate. Now it's almost the same sort of technique. I'm going to put that to one side. So the next one we'll do will be Billy Brayer. So we'll use him. So what we need to do is get our piece of card, another piece of card. We're going to use the same stamp so that it's easier to see all three. Now what I want to do this time, remember I said the permanent ink, I didn't want to use it on the Brayer. So I'm going to ink up with the Adirondack. Again, we're going to do the reflection first. And for some reason, this seems to be the one that people aren't as keen on in general, I found, with feedback from the ladies on Saturday. But it's always worth having a go with this. And we're going to put the ink onto our Brayer. So you start at the base of your stamp and you roll the Brayer firm over the top of your stamp. Now bear in mind, your stamp can't be too tall, otherwise it would go off the end of your Brayer. If that makes sense. Again, if you're unsure, try it on copy paper. Now for this time, I mean, look, you can see that the image of the mushroom is there. Now what I want to do now, I'm doing the reflections. I want to get the base of where the mushrooms are and almost get them halfway. So if I put them there, so that's about halfway, and I'm going to press, again, an even pressure right to the end of... Now you see I've missed a little bit. I obviously lifted it up too soon, and I bet I can't... Shall we see? I bet I can't get that on. So we'll do that one again, because I think I made a bit of a... And again, this will happen. I obviously lifted it up. I could pretend, I could say to you, I did that on purpose to show you. But you know me, if nothing else, I tell the truth. But the good thing is, I always use double-sided card. So let's go again. Ink up our mushrooms. Again, and I was just a bit keen to lift it up. You can tell I'm still nervous after all these years of using the Brayer, can't you? So start at the bottom, pressure all the way, keep going, and right off the top of your stamp. Right, let's see, come on, concentrate. Right, so I want the base about there, down, press. Now I want to keep going this time and actually get the top of those mushrooms. Yeah, that's better. I've got a couple of little marks. Now that's come again off my block. So again, note to self, clean your block first. Also at this point, oh, I will point out, just to show you, if you carried on going, look, if I show you on the copy of paper, it's amazing how many times you will get the mushroom. So again, if you wanted, you could keep, I mean, look at that. Got another 4. And as I say, that's with a dye-based ink. So again, I'll just clean my Brayer. And so for this one, you would do the same thing. I don't need to show you. You would ink up and stamp your main one and do your horizon line. So I'll show you the third one. We'll put that to one side. Now another way of doing it is with the gel press. So if you've got a jelly plate or a gel press, we can do the same sort of thing. So again, we're going to take... Now the beauty of this is you can do a couple of images. So we're going to take our mushrooms and I'm going to stamp them. Now again, with this one, it's getting the pressure right. If you stamp too hard, you almost get a lot of imagery around it. But I'm going to take the hairs as well, give him a stamping up just to show you. Must admit it's very wet here today. So I'm in a place called Holmes Chapel, which is in Cheshire in the UK, and we have had some lovely weather, but it is very wet today. I've taken my dog Eric, my black Labrador, out for a walk this morning, and we got soaked. So what we'll do is we'll pop him there. Again, firm pressure. Now, don't worry, missed a little bit there. We can easy add that. It's not a problem. I mean, two ways you can add it now, but I'll add it when we are just looking at a reflection. So don't be hard on yourself. So again, we're going to take this, and I find I've got it on a block because, as you know, I find that the easiest. And I'm just going to take that down and use my gel press as though it's a stamp. So this now is me stamping the reflection. As I say, the beauty of this is you can use, I could have stamped some flowers as well. So you can get multiple stamps on in one go. So I'm going to give that a little rub from underneath. And if I peel that off, there we go. We've got our reflection. So the same thing we would then stamp. And again, look, it wouldn't matter. All I would do for there, I mean, by the time you put your little lines across, that'll be fine. So I'm going to put that out of here. So that's the three ways of doing the reflection. So we've got the acetate, the gel press, and the brayer. Again, remember, if it's a long stamp, your brayer won't, the circumference isn't enough. So you will need, I mean, again, the acetate, you just use a bigger piece of acetate. So they're the three different ways. So let's have a look at creating this design. And what we're going to do for this design, we'll go straight into this now because I'm sure I've waffled long enough. I'm always conscious that I waffle too much. So, and I do say so a lot as well, apparently, I've been told. I nearly said so, I apologise then. Just wiping my hands because that's the other thing. If you get black marks on your hands, you'll transfer them onto your work. Now, what we're going to do first is add a little bit of our background. So the Brayer is going to come in, which is why we cleaned him. And I think we'll go for Stormy Sky. I'm just using an oxide, and I just want some background colour here. Now, I'm going to ink him up. And what I find is if you look on the Brayer, the ink isn't uniform. So I tend to find it's easier to just roll it on my craft mat. And that almost, look, it started to blend it. We are just making a background. So you're just going to lightly introduce some colour, pick some more up. And I'm just going to come to about halfway. We don't want it too dark because we are just making a background on there, and then let's work our way to halfway. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'll turn that round. Same thing again on the other side. Got some ink there. Brayer it off, and then move my pencil out the way. Just never have enough room on my craft desk. Don't know about you, but just gets worse. Pick some more ink up, see if I can bring that in. And what I really want is one side slightly darker than the other, and I'll have that for my main image. So I'm going on this one, I think. I think I like this one. So I'm going to have this as my main. I'll stop there. So I'm going to go this as my main image, and this is my reflection. So I'm happy with that. And what I would do is clean the Brayer always. You know me, I think it's important. Now, normally I would have a spare piece of paid card and I would just Brayer that ink off. But just for this video, when I've got lots of little things I want to show you, I'm just going to clean it up. And we'll clean that. Make sure that's dry. Now, we've got our background. At this stage, I could flick some water, but I'll probably leave that. I'll do my stamping first because my stamping's in permanent ink, so I can still flick my water after. I think the important thing now is to do the stamping. So I think I'll use the acetate to get my reflection. So like we did before, I'm going to bring the acetate in. I'm going to start with the mushrooms. Ink them up and onto the acetate. Again, a firm press. Try not to smudge it. But like I say, you are making a reflection, so, you know. Now, this was the side I was going to use for my reflection, wasn't it? So I'm thinking, I don't want it midline, I'm thinking there. Right, let's pop that down and give it a good rub. I would love to know how you get on with this. I mean, it might be you've done reflections before, which again, in which case you probably won't be watching this video anyway. I mean, some people, it's like everything, some people find them no problem. It's certainly just some of the crafters I've spoken to struggle. So we'll lift that up and there's my reflection. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is just clean my acetate. And dry that. Now, so what I'll do next is stamp up the mushrooms again. Make sure I've not caught any of those sides. And let's see if I can try not to put my head in the way, and see if we can get those perfectly opposite. And stamp, and again give this a good, try not to lift it. I always say, you know, your VersaFine clay's got a long open time, so just give it a chance. We've got ink on this card and we want our new ink, our VersaFine ink, to soak in and give us a good image, so don't lift it up too quickly. Give it a good press and then lift it up. There we go. So I must admit, I like that. So we're going to bring our rabbit in and we want him there. So let's do his reflection first. Ink him up. Back with the acetate. Now that I did feel it just move a little, but I'm not going to worry about it. Now again, it hasn't stamped that well, I think because I felt it move, but let's just go with it. There's ways round it. Now I want his bottom about there. And again, make sure you're on your reflection side. Give him a good rub. And then lift him off. And we'll just give that acetate a wipe. It is important to almost keep thinking all the time which is your reflection and which is your main image, because I have known crafters do sort of half of it one way and then forget, and it's so easy to then stamp on the wrong half. And it's so annoying when that happens. So it is worth in your mind, just keep reminding yourself. So we'll put our bunny there. And again, it's a silhouette stamp. And for some reason it's not stamping well today. It could be that he's even got a bit of glitter on him or something. I think he just needs a good wipe when I've finished. But as you know, there's always ways round it. Lift it up. Now you see stamped better there, which I'm happy with. There is a little bit, and I'm just going to bring, where's my black Sharpie? He's just got a little bit there and there, and at the top here, which I feel I want to just, that's better. Makes me feel better just adding that. Right, so what I'm going to do is just blot that. Again, because I don't want to smudge the ink. It's got a long open time. I keep saying that, but you need to remember that you don't want to smudge it. So that's lovely. Let's have a go at adding the horizon. So always put it with my right hand, because I'm going to be going this way, aren't I? Make sure I put my, oh, I'm sorry, my phone's pinging away. Ladies sending me pictures from the workshop on Saturday, so I am thrilled. It is lovely and I can't wait to see them. I'm going to do the horizon, so back with my Adirondack, ink up just the edge of my brayer, and I'm going to put that, see if we can get it there, and then work your way down over, a wee bit high, but I can live with that. I'm happy with that. Next thing, we're going to add a moon mask. So we're going to put all this to one side, and that's just our piece of acetate. Now, I could put it here almost to make a focal point here and a spotlight, but for me, I almost think that's too drawing your eye in, and I want the whole image to pop. So I'm going to put mine at the side here. And again, I would do your original one first and your reflection second. I'm going to come in with the same colour with my Stormy Sky. I'm going to use a smoothie for this. Now, I want it just to catch this bit of the mushroom here. Now, as always, make sure you go onto your acetate first and then just flick out. And then as you want more, build up. You see, even though it's tone on tone, you still get quite a lot of colour, which is why it's important to go onto your acetate first and then just drag the colour out. Just want to drag it over there a little. And along there. And again, just lift it up to have a look. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So now we want the reflection. I'm not going to ink up again, put the lid on, because there'll be enough ink here, because we've still got ink on our moon mask, and we don't want, let's check them in shot, we don't want the reflection to be as strong. So what we want is we want the distance here to be the same. We want to catch that corner, don't we? So I think that's about right. We've got that distance there, that distance there. Right, so same thing. I'm just going to flick the ink off. And again, let's lift up to have a look before we take it off. Yes. Now, see, I think that is just the right amount. I'm happy with that. And what we'll do, we'll add a little bit of landscape. I'm just going to clean my moon mask again, because try and keep everything clean. You don't want to put it away with ink on it. So to make our landscape, let's take a piece of copy paper and just tear it towards you. And I want some hills in this, so I'm just going to make some hills. Let's go for this one. We'll get rid of that one. Now, I'll pop this on my craft mat because it'll be easier for you to see, I think. Now, that big hill, I'm thinking let's have this hill. So I'm going to use the same colour. And I'm thinking, let's do that. I think that'll look a nice shape. Got to make sure you're below your moon. Remember that. Right, I'm happy with that. Again, onto the paper first and just flick and drag down. You're actually making the hills. So you're going to bring the ink down. So remember, in your head you want it darker. You're actually making the hills now. Onto the copy of paper. Now, if it didn't show up, you could always add another colour. Now, remember, like I say, hold your paper here and lift it up to have a look. I like that. I think that's nice. I think just a little bit possibly darker here. Now, I'm going to put my lid on my ink because I don't want to be tempted to use any more, because I'm doing the reflection now and I want to use the ink that's on here. To get a reflection of this shape, what I need to do is turn my paper over. And again, So I want it to mirror up. This is really important because this is the reflection. So you're turning it over. So that hill, and again, I want that about the same distance in. That one there and that one there. So that distance, that distance. I think I just need to, yes, now I think that, oh, I moved my card. So I think that will give me that good reflection. So this is where you almost have to be a bit, don't know if you use the term cack-handed. You sort of have to just move my hand out the way. Now again, this is a reflection, so I don't want it too strong. So I'll only add a little bit, pull my paper back and have a look. Thinking just a little bit more around here. It's important it looks like a reflection. So let me lift that. Yeah, I think that's better. So if I take these out of the way, sorry for putting my arm across, and bring it back in, hopefully, can you see? So our reflection mirrors, we've got the hill where the hill. Now, don't worry where, I'm just going to get a wet wipe. Sometimes ladies say, so where I've actually got a bit of the ink on my rabbit and a bit there on, and I'm just going to dab it off because it's a dye-based ink, so it'll react with water. That looks better. That's just a little trick, sorry. So can you see our reflection is mirrored now? So we're building up that whole scene, and for me, it's looking realistic, which is what I want. So we're going to add some foliage. Now, for the foliage, I've chosen... Now, if you were really, what you could do is choose a stamp that is symmetrical, and all you would have to do then is do your first and second generation stamping. And this one, the fairy bonnet, is symmetrical to here, and then it isn't. So what I thought I'd do is, and what I did on my original, now for this I'm using a VersaFine Clair Warm Breeze. Now if I show you, I want a little bit of foliage at the top. Now where I don't want a lot of foliage, so here I can stamp first and then opposite second generation. I'm going to do another one of those. Just to have that one over the moon there first. Get it opposite. Now again, you will take longer than me, so I'm going to have first, second. It's always important to remember, sort of in your head, talk first and second. Now again, if you notice, I've altered the heights because it looks more natural. If you did them all like soldiers in a row, that doesn't look very natural. Now here, I'd like a longer. But if I stamp this, like I say, it's not symmetrical. I can't do first and second generation. So where did we put that trusty piece of acetate? Here we go. So we'll ink it up. So I want a nice long fairy bonnet. Lift that up. And remember, this is the reflection. Keep saying to yourself, so this is on the reflection side. I think it'll look nice to have a longer reflection there. I'm just going to lift it up and then stamp the original. So let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right, and it's opposite. We've got a little space there, little space there. Yeah. See, and you can tell it's the proper reflection. I think we just need one at this side. So, oh, I wonder if this had, wonder if we've got enough on here. Just see. With it being a slow drying ink, I just wonder if we've got enough to just catch that edge with the reflection to save re-inking. If we haven't, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we did, and that's just enough. I like that. So I need to stamp this edge here. just catching the edge. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? There. Right, I'm just going to put my lid on and clean my stamp and my acetate. So for me, that picture is building up so nicely. Last thing, just a couple of finishing tricks to do. What I would do is bring in, and now I'm using the Derwent Intense pencils. You can use any pencil. I'm just going to add a little bit of green here. And then a little bit of green in the water. Not a lot, but I just want that impression of the green. I'm also going to add some orange, and again, I must stress, you will take longer colouring in at home. I just don't want you to get bored watching me colouring in. But I'm just going to use an orange there, and then I'm going to come in with the yellow on the top here. And just blend it over the orange, just to brighten that up a little. And then what I'm going to do is just add a tiny bit. I don't want much, it's a reflection. You don't really see colours in reflection, but I just want the hint of it. And I've got a blue here. And I'm just going to add a little bit more blue to this fairy bonnet stamp, just to give it a little bit more depth. And again, I keep stressing, you will just spend more time and colour it a lot better than me. Just add, but it gives it, can you see, a little bit more depth shows up. So fine liner, and I just want to add some. Now if you have a grass stamp, you could do that with your grass stamp, but I'm just going to do it with my fine liner. I'm just going to add a couple of bits of grass here, and almost the idea of a little bit of grass, but try and do it a bit sort of faint in the reflection. Now where this didn't stamp well, the way we're going to get round that, we're going to use our charcoal pencils, and I'm just going to lightly add a little bit of charcoal in here. I'm actually going to leave that because I think that looks like where his tail is. Now I'm just going to use a paper stump and blend it, so that by the time we do the reflection, hopefully you won't even notice that. White charcoal pencil, I'm going to add him a tail, and there, that looks like the reflection of the tail. The white charcoal pencil is lovely for adding to the moon as well. And obviously it does make lovely glints across the water. Don't need too many, and then give it a smudge. Now I would edge mine, but actually I've got some black card, so you can do it two ways. On the finished one, I've used a Sharpie and a ruler to edge it because I've put this on yellow. But this one, I've got it, just to save time, I've got a piece of black card to put it on. Now the yellow is just, you know, I like to use my Posca pens. And what I did with this is I wanted it to look like there were some flowers here. So I just added some dots of yellow. Brightens it up as well, and just it's nice to have a little contrast. Now what I did was I added a few in the reflection, because you would get them in the reflection, but then I just used my wet wipe to, because they would almost be smudgy, wouldn't they? So you, and just to give that, and the wet wipe almost with it being watery. And what I found is if I just bring that along there, again, it just helps. That's a bit deep there, so I just want to take some of that off. And then I'm just going to add my white to that. Looks better. Last little trick is the white Posca. And this, I'm going to add just some highlight here. We just bring those in and a touch there, because we're going to get the reflection, aren't we? So down this side would have some highlight from the moon, the same down there, and just on his nose and up here, this side, and a bit on his tail. And if you want, you can add a few little white dots as well. Again, I'm just playing. You can add a little bit to the hills, but I'm thinking I like that as it is. Well, maybe just add a touch on a couple of the flowers where, and on this it would be this side again. The sunlight would catch, the moonlight I mean, and it will just catch those. But I actually think I'm happy with that. If I bring a piece of, well, my desk's getting full, isn't it? Look. If I just bring a piece of black card in, there we go. So I hope you like that, and I hope it's given you an idea of how to do your reflection. I'm a big fan of glossy accents or clear glass. You could add some of that as well to reflection. And I'm going to bring my finished one in. Again, the difference, look, you can mat it on the yellow or just put it on the black. It's totally up to you. So I'm hoping, I'm hoping that's helped you with your reflections. And as I said, I'd love to know how you get on. And I'm going to go now. Time for coffee, I think. What time is it? Real time, it's 11 o'clock in the morning here when I'm recording this. So that's perfect for a nice cup of coffee for me. So please take care. I hope you've enjoyed this. I do keep getting somebody who puts a dislike, a thumbs down. So I'm always for constructive criticism. I'd love to know what I do wrong. After all, I'm just trying to do my best and share things with you. So whoever's not happy with me, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'll try better next time. Okay, take care everybody. Love and hugs. Bye for now.